All right. Welcome everybody to our regularly scheduled Tuesday night Perry here on twitch.tv /Perry Von Vicious. If you're watching afterwards on youtube.com/Perry Von Vicious, go ahead and throw me a like and a subscribe, ring the bell, whatever it is they tell you all to do over there. I appreciate it. Tell a friend, share it out. Um, Tonight I'm going to be on Tinkercad, and I'm doing a couple things. I've got a whole box of different toy parts here that I've mined from various toys. We got a Gravedigger body here. We got some other random Hot Wheels rally trucks bodies, all kinds of stuff here. And essentially, what I'm going to do tonight is try to finish modding some of these so that they become sort of Matchbox Superchargers style toys from my shelf. And specifically, I'm looking at doing something pretty cool, something I haven't done before. I have this body that comes off of a Hot Wheels monster truck of this sick I don't know, is it a Mustang? I think it's a Mustang with a huge engine and some cool flames and stuff. Really a very unique shape. And what I want to do is I want to turn it into one of one of these, an old school tractor pull funny car. I kind of want to end up like that. That's kind of the goal here. And specifically, I'm kind of modeling it after the Matchbox Supercharger pulling tractors. These are from the same series of monster truck toys that I had, but they are tractor pull tractors. And I want to do a funny car design like that. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to make it fit this body from the Hot Wheels monster truck series. It's got some nice connection points on the bottom here, and we're going to work with those. Hey, Bobby Gilbert in the chat. That's right. Tuesday night, Perry. Welcome aboard, my friend. Um, and yeah, again, the end goal right next to me here is going to be something like this: a pulling funny car. That's right. It's the Roger Dodger body. That's what it is. It's a Dodge Charger. That's what that body is. I always forget what that one was called. But we're going to basically turn it into a pulling vehicle like this funny car that we see over my shoulder here. All right, so let me go ahead and move myself out of the way. We're going to hop into Tinkercad here. And we're going to go ahead and say create a new 3D design. We're going to work our way through this. I've got my usual tools, my digital micrometer, and the actual toy that I'm trying to fit, as well as my Matchbox pulling tractor, so we can try our best to make something that'll fit. And if this one goes smooth, I do have some Gravedigger and some Bigfoot bodies that need chassis designed for them as well. So we might get into a little of that depending on the speed with which we move here. All right, so first things first over here, I want to go ahead and I'm going to open my sort of pre-made Matchbox Supercharger chassis because I'm going to steal some bits and bobs from this. I don't want to work from whole cloth if I have something already designed. And specifically, what I want to snag is this tire and axle set that I made here because that's going to be the base on the back here. You're robotic. That's right. We're gonna bit those bobs. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna copy that. We're gonna drop it into the new model here. There we go. And that's sort of what we're starting with. Now, this will likely be stretched wider, um, I believe, and you'll see it in the corner here. Actually, it looks to be about the same axle size as the original, so maybe we don't make it wider. Let's see, how's that going to look with the body? Actually, I think that's gonna line up pretty good with this little blue body we're working with. All right, all right. I'm intrigued. I think there's some real possibilities here. All right, well, if that's the case and we don't need to alter that at all, then we are at a great starting point here. So I'm going to back it up over this way, bring us around to the front. All right. So looking at this body, we do have some connection points to work with here. We are going to have to model some front tires. Now, I was a little bit bouncing back and forth between what I would do here. If I would model our own tires that would sort of closely match what's already on this tractor, or if I might use like I have some little Hot Wheels axle and wheels that came off some previous models. I have even smaller ones that are still on a little chassis here. And I was kind of thinking those might end up being a pretty good fit on the front, but maybe we do want to go a little bigger. So I don't know. I'm a little iffy on that. I have some ways that we'd be able to attach those axles in, but maybe I want to do something custom. Maybe I want to do something custom on this. Yeah, we'll see. All right, so first things first, I kind of want to figure out how exactly this is going to sit. And I think it has to be kind of nosed forward a little. Bobby Gilbert says, I bullied Johnny last night. I don't believe that for an instant. Johnny Torres is not easily bullied. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to move the model in here. And I'm going to go ahead and just start us by making sort of a base frame that can go under this. Now this is open so we could see inside, so maybe we're gonna end up putting a driver in here like we did for the monster truck bodies. I don't know. Kind of a tough call. But for now, let's go ahead and we're gonna drop a box in because we need something to work from. We need something to work with here. And I am gonna try to I sort of have the underside of this chassis, and I think that's maybe where we start here. We might have to start kind of modeling after that. I think that's gonna be the plan. So if that's the case, let's go ahead and grab the digital micrometers here. And I'm going to get an idea on the length here, axle to axle, and we'll see if that's going to end up looking pretty good. I didn't, but he did give me an, oh, okay, I see. Yeah, actually, that length might be a little bit much, so we're definitely going to go a little bit shorter on that distance. We're going to call it axle to axle. It's going to be just about 52, 51. Yeah, about we'll call it 52 millimeters. Oh, you got an ad, I see. So we're gonna make this about 52. And that's gonna, right now, this is just going in purely as a spacer to give us our distance between these things. So let's get a top view. Let's bring this back. Oh, it's a little crooked. I wouldn't have noticed that. Look at that. Yeah. Huh, how about that? All right, well, we're gonna have to, there we go, straighten that out. Boy, that's weird. All right. Well, didn't know that. Didn't know that from my previous design. The crimes of our past. Am I right? All right. So let's go ahead and get that a little bit closer. There we go. So I'm going to drop in sort of like just a dummy axle, just something to sort of take the place and show where our front axle will go. Let's go ahead and make this nice and long so that then we can, holding our shift key, we can bring it way down, kind of make it the way we need it. Move it up a little bit. Get our top view. We're going to center this thing. All right, so now we sort of have that's where our axles are going to be. That's sort of our placeholder. And let's see, let's get the sizing just right on this because I want this to look good with the front of this the way that those rear tires do. So they're going to have to be a little bit wide. Right, somewhere like right there. I do think we're going to end up making our own custom front wheels for this. I think that's going to be the way to do this. And I actually think there are wheels already in Tinkercad that we can kind of, we might be able to steal. All right, so that's looking pretty good so far. So let's see, ooh, actually really like the details on the bottom of this. The way this comes back with sort of a drive shaft coming to the big wheels here. I like that detail. All right, so we're gonna work that in actually. I'm gonna make my own version of that. Oh, that is slick. Wow. Sorry, I'm just marveling at the toy design from a toy from, fully 40 years ago. This is a 1980. What year was this released? 87. So almost 40 years old. This pulling tractor. We're gonna kind of steal a little bit of the design here. Not all of it. We're gonna steal some of it. All right. First things first is I'm going to make this longer. I want this to come back probably about to here. Then we're definitely going to have to make it a bit taller, sort of fill in on this. Yeah, there's a lot of details. I've really not thought through most of this design. So we're going to see how this goes really, because again, I've not thought through this very much. I'm kind of winging it as we go. And just looking at the part and looking at the other toy and kind of seeing what feels right here. All right, I think yeah, that's gonna work well. And I have this is sort of the base of my model for this. So I'm kind of putting the two together. Let's see, Bobby Gilbert. If I have enough money left from Monster Jam, I'm gonna give Cash App Joey the rest so he can give it to you for a figure. Hey, all right. Hey, I'm open to that. Let me know. But hey, don't hold back at Monster Jam. You see some cool stuff, you go for it. They only come by so many times a year. All right, come on. Huh. Austin hopping in. Yeah, it's true. They only come around so often. You got to get what you can. All right, so we're gonna call that sort of our centerpiece here. I'm gonna bring it forward, and I think then we can yeah, because it's going to need to stretch past that front axle. And in fact, I can go back to the actual toy here, and I'll know exactly how long I want it to be. I'm going to want it to be just about, call it 69 millimeters, and we can, let's see, how close did I guess? 73, that's a bit much. All right, so let's get a look at the back here, and we want that back axle to sit about there. Ooh, boy, yeah. This is a really interesting little project for me because I've not done one of these before, and this is going to be really weird to try to fit because I'm doing a lot of guessing. So it's possible that this ends up not fitting with the body on the first try, and that's sort of part of the process when you're a toy maker is you got to sort of play it by ear. I think I'm gonna ultimately want that to go forward a little. Let's get a top view here. We can go a little bit wider about there. And that gives us a width of 15 millimeters. Make sure that's going to fit comfortably inside of our piece here. Okay, yeah, nice, easy fit in there. That's no problem. All right, so right at the front, right above that axle is where you'll see in my little thing here, there's a little front peg. We want that to kind of go down in there. So let's get a width on that piece. It's like a 3.6, 3.7. We're going to call that, we're going to give ourselves a little bit of leeway. We're going to call that like a 4.7 or 4.5. And we'll go ahead and Add some sides to that. This one I'm going to add sides as well. I want that fully rounded since that's going to end up an axle for us. Now we want to go right above that axle. And as close to the middle as we can. I'm going to go ahead and bring that way up about there. And that's going to give us where that front piece kind of falls in. I already have a crap ton of monster trucks, but not a Perry Von Vicious figure. That's fair. That's fair. And I have series 2 of this bad boy will be coming out soon. I have a couple finishing touches to put on it, and then I'm going to be able to start running productions of them. All right, and let's get. I need to know how far back from that piece are these two little slots. It looks like 50.5 millimeters, give or take. Let's go ahead and get a top view. Let's drop in this thing. We're going to line it up with that. Kind of give us ballpark the shape we need. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make it exactly the shape that we want because I need two little slots here or one big. Well, we can make it one big one. Let this kind of sink into one big spot. All right, so it looks like it's the width on this is somewhere right around 9 millimeters. We're going to call it 10 just to be safe. So we're going to call that 10 millimeters wide. And for depth at their deepest point, because we want it to fit in case it has to go real deep in there, that's like a 6.5. We're going to call that a solid 7.5, just in case. I want a little wiggle room on this fit because once I glue my parts in, they'll be fine. All right, so we are going to line it up with that piece and get it fairly well centered here. And then we want to move it back. What did I decide the distance between these was? Okay, first let's go to about, because we want front to front. So we want to go about there. And our distance is going to be just about 50 millimeters. We're going to call it 48 and then extend it a little bit long, just in case. I like to have a little bit of leeway here. Bring this up high so I can see it. Get us back to our top view here. And then I said we wanted to move it back. I keep going back and having to remeasure. All right, we're going to call that, it's about a difference of 50. We're going to move it back 48 just in case, because millimeters are small. So you can give yourself a little bit of leeway this way. So where's our 48 is about right there. And I am going to stretch this back just a bit. Cool. Good. Perfect. And if I want to add the hole, so there's a hole on the back of this that connects with a pull sled from this old series. And I think that's going to end up being kind of important to this. Like, I think it needs that. And I don't know how that's going to play with these kind of going in that hole. So I think I got to make this thing longer so that I can put the hole back here where it won't interfere with that body part. I think that's going to be I think that's going to be the way I have to do this. Not necessarily ideal, but it's gonna work. All right. I also do want to raise this up probably just a little here. I come up to about there. The top's going to have to come down some, I think, but well, let's see. How high up do I need that to go? It's got a lot of leeway inside the car. I probably want that tire about there with this coming forward. Oh yeah, I'm going to end up having to shrink it because the whole thing goes at an angle. This is a tricky design. This is a tricky bit of design work going on here. Yeah, we're gonna have to move that back and that back. Okay. Or actually, moving this forward is going to be much easier. So we're going to want that forward of there quite a little bit, actually. I'm doing this by eye now, where I'm holding the model and kind of doing my best guess. We're going to want that like right about there. Yeah, it needs a little bit of leeway there. That's okay. That's fine with me. Actually, as soon as I did that, it started to look a little more tractor-like already. Hey, Nickabeans, welcome. We're taking the body off of one of these Hot Wheels monster trucks and turning it into a pulling tractor from one of my early sets. Kind of doing a mismatch of toys here. All right. Yeah, that's looking pretty promising. I do think we're going to find that I need to move this back considerably once I get sort of the layout of this piece. So let's see if I want that at like about there. Yeah, this has been a lot of mucking about here. Are the cars 3D printed? So these parts that I'm showing are from toys that are bought in the stores. This one from the 80s, this one modern. But this little chassis is one of my 3D printed chassis that fully rolls like it should. And that's what I'm building toward here. I can show you, I'll even pop up on the bigger screen for a sec here. This started life as a modern Bigfoot toy, but I have a fully 3D printed chassis that I made under it with a little driver in there and a little engine up front and wheels that spin as they should and an old school simple chassis. And I think it came out really great. So I've been doing a lot of customs like this, and this building one of these tractor ones is a new challenge for me. So I'm kind of excited to give this a whirl here and see what happens. Yeah, I'm going to extend that just in case. And this I know is going to need to come back. Yeah, definitely. And it's also going to have to be at a bit of an angle. See the body here with this, you see where my thumb is. I have that little plug there. The whole body is going to be pitched forward, which makes that little pole at a bit of an angle. So that could be really tough to kind of get just right. I think what I'm going to have to do is just maybe make this the hole for it bigger all around just to accommodate that. And as long as it's close, I think we'll be okay. I do need to get it centered. That's looking pretty centered. And then I'm going to move it back just because. Now this is one, again, I said this a little earlier in the stream, where I fully assume that when I print this, it's going to be just a rough draft. I'm going to try putting the body on it. Some parts will fit really well, some parts won't, and I'm going to have to alter it a bit. Um, and then we'll see from there. So this will probably be one that I have to do iterations of, and I'm okay with that. However, I do want to get this little the little hole in the back here because that's how the old school pull sled hooks on. So we are going to make that, and I can get the dimensions on that with my micrometer here. It's we'll call it 4 millimeters wide by about 8 millimeters tall. So let's go ahead and drop this in here. We're going to call that 8. We're going to call that 4. And then the height of it from the ground is also important because that's how the whole thing interacts. And let's see here. It's looking like the height from the ground is going to be somewhere right around, oh, 26 millimeters. Hey, Graves is here. Welcome. Better late than never. Absolutely. So we're going to call this 26, which is pretty high. Wow. Am I making this whole thing smaller than it needs to be? Have I greatly misjudged the sizing on all this? I mean, I guess we're going to find out, huh? I mean, you could probably put that a bit lower and it'd be okay. Yeah, we're going to go a little bit lower. We're going to go like right there. But once the piece goes in, it has to then twist. So we got to sort of combine a couple parts here. We go about that deep. And then I'm going to bring one out here. And this one I'm just sort of guessing. I'm not even sure how this is going to print necessarily, having a hole inside this. It might not like it. That's okay. We're going to give it a shot anyway. Or you know what? Maybe I should grab one of the pole sleds to my, they're all downstairs. We're going to not worry about the pole sled holes for now. We're going to back off on that idea for now and we'll come back to it. We'll come back to it before this is printed. All right. I do need to get some wheels on the front here and I think I want to say, yeah, there are some that are modeled up in here. What's this one look like? Whoa, that is, I mean, honestly, not bad, but I kind of want like an interior on it. Hmm. Yeah, we're not going to go with that one, even though it is a good like tractor. Well, you know, what, maybe we can combine it with one of these other ones. We'll sort of mismatch two together. Hey, Rise here. Welcome. Everybody's rolling into the old Tinkercad stream. All right, we'll do that. We'll bring this up. We're gonna try to just merge these two pieces. There might be better for this. I'm probably gonna end up. No, you know what? I kind of like this for the crappy little tires on the front of, because you look at the tires that were on these right over my shoulder here, and it's little bitty tires on the front and those big tractor tires on the back. That's kind of the design we're going for here. So maybe that's what we'll do. Yeah, we'll go for something like that. Let's go ahead and pop me out of the way so everyone can see what I'm doing. And let's go ahead and we'll find a way to merge these two. Okay, I'm gonna flip that first. That's thing first. That didn't flip at all. That's what I wanted. There we go. All right, so let's start with that, and then let's go ahead and we're gonna shrink this guy down, but make him a little bit wider. Let's get a good view here to kind of line them up with each other, get them centered. That center line is helpful. Boy, this weird tire design in this is ugly as sin, huh? And let's go ahead and bring that down just till it looks, boy, I don't know if this tire's going to work. It looks kind of off center and terrible. Yeah, you know what? We're going to lose that and we're going to use a different kind, even though I think, oh God, it's kind of perfect. It's just there's something off about it. I don't, we're losing that one. All right, let's try this one. That's much better. That's going to work much better in every conceivable way. Okay, so it's flat on that end, flat on that end. Okay, that's going to be real easy to work with. Let's lose this, but instead I'm going to bring this thing in here? Yeah, that's kind of tractor tire looking. We're gonna pop that to there. Let's get a look at how this looks. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's good. I'm glad I found something better. We're gonna shrink it down a little, get a better view here. Bring it on over here somewhere. All right, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Let's get it centered. And what I'm actually going to do, rather than just leaving that there like that, well, actually, maybe I do want to leave that. I don't know. I'm having mixed feelings. You're kind of hearing like the thought process happen in real time. Because I could sort of give it like this, and I think that actually is gonna. Yeah, I think that's the move. I think that looks really good. That's kind of cool looking. It looks like a crappy old tractor tire, and now we can just scale it down the way we like it, you know? Um, all right, but first things first, let's go ahead and get back to our tractor here. And I don't want this axle wobbling in and out of here. So I'm gonna make a copy of the axle as it is. Bring a piece to about here. All right, come on. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way. There we go. That's better. All right. We're going to get a perfect side view and we're going to make this a fair bit bigger this way. Call that make it an even 7. And then let's go ahead and make this an even 7. Get back to our side view. Let's go ahead and center that. There we go. And call that. Why does it look so oblong? Something about it, something's off here. One of these numbers ain't adding up. That's 7, and that's 7. So what about this guy? What's the number that's off here? 5.25 and 5.25. I don't know. I guess nothing's oblong. It's all okay. Weird. Just looks weird. You know what I mean? Right. So let's come down one more. Maybe we got to move by a finer increments. That might be the issue here. So I think it needs to come forward just a hair and then back up just a little bit. Something like that, I think, is what we need. Yeah, that's look. There we go. Now it's all lining up. All right. So now we got to copy that and put it over on the other side. So D. Then we're just gonna move it on over to about there. Plus 5 points if you can guess why I'm singing the Green Acres theme while looking at this tractor. Hey, it's the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. Let's see. So you do this all from scratch, no templates. More or less. So I will use, like you saw me make this little this tractor tire here. Those are sort of pre-made parts that exist in Tinkercad. I'll do that. Like I don't have an issue with that, using some things that are kind of pre-made in here, little parts that exist already. Um, but like and like these the base for the monster truck tires, I reshaped them in my own way, but the base for the big monster truck style tires here, those I got off of Thingiverse. But everything else I start off on my own, and the only thing I have to work from are the toys that I'm pulling my own measurements from. And I've done some pretty extensive design work on these. That comes out pretty great, but it's just it's time consuming. I definitely remember Green Acres reruns on Nick at Night. Absolutely, Rye. But I mean that makes sense. You and I are of a, I believe we've decided of a very similar age. So, right. And now I'm kind of thinking it's dang it, both of those. And then we're gonna make that a bit smaller. Move it on over. Let's see. Do you pay for your account or pre-existing builds? Wait, do I pay for my account or pre-existing builds? Explain. I need you to suss that out a little bit more. See, Joey approves of how Jangles is booked. Good, good. From son-in-law. Yeah, that's true. Pauly Shore singing it in that movie is pretty iconic, truth be told. All right, so that's pretty good, but I got one thing I want to do to make it a bit better. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that out of there because I want to set that in a little bit. It was a little bit too like out for me. Um, a lot of different ways I could do that. Um, let's go ahead and get our standard shapes back up here. I'm going to bring in a cylindrical negative. Oh, for 3D printing. So I do all the printing in my own basement. I have four printers. Um, and this particular app that I'm using, Tinkercad, is free. It's a browser-based app that anyone can use, which is pretty great. All right, so we want to go about there. And then I want we're going to make this a bit smaller, raise it up a little, bring it over to here, bring it over to here. Let's see, did I guess right? I was pretty close. Pretty close. All right, let's get that centered to about where this piece is. Something right about like that. Yeah, free is very good. All right. And I want to shrink this in so it's just coming inside. I just want to make a little indent in this tire. All right, and then we're gonna copy both and group them, and that's gonna give us our little, just a little inset like that. Just a little bit. Because now this is gonna sit in there much, yeah, much cleaner. Yeah, that's way better. All right. And now I'm gonna take both of those, I'm gonna group those. And that's now our little front tractor wheel. That's gonna take the place of, down in the little corner here, this little front wheel. Little front wheel on our pulling tractor. And in fact, I'm even going to size it the same way. Let's get a measurement here. We want it to be about well, it's a little over 19 millimeters tall. We'll call it we'll well, it's already like 20. We'll call it 20 even. Why not? I don't mind it being, well, you know what? We're going to make it just a little bit smaller. We're going to go 18 because this car body is a bit smaller than the tractor body that is the original for this. So I'm just going to shrink some parts down just a little bit. All right, and then for width, let's find something that's going to look really nice here. And I think the original is going to be our guide. Let's take it with like a 8.8. We'll call it 9. 9 is our width on that. Oh, it's already pretty close. Wow. I'm like guessing real close on these, which is pretty. It makes me pretty happy. Right, and then we gotta. All right, we gotta shorten the other. We made this 18, so we gotta make this 18, or else we got an oblong tire otherwise. That's no good. All right, and it looks like we may have to raise that axle a bit. Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do that. But for now, let's go ahead and move our tire into place. back it on up here. I'm taking my time with this. I let it move slow so I can really get like a solid alignment on this. Because if you mess it up, you end up with a tire that wobbles when it rolls, and that's really not the dream, folks, not the dream. Okay, and let's go ahead and bring it over. I want to get in like nice and close on this, and I don't want it hitting the body, so I'm gonna try to sort of measure here, like, do I want it wider than the body? Do I want it inside the body? You know, that's the tricky part. So let's see. This thing is 27 wide. Wow, that's really wide. Yeah, I'm just checking my micrometer to see what I think of that. So that puts the tires just outside of the body, or actually just inside. You know what? I think that's going to work. I think it's going to work. You know, I don't think that's going to be a problem. All right, and let's go ahead and see if we can't get some better alignment here. Get our view from dead on the front. We're going to want this, this, and this to all move together to like somewhere right around there. Let's see. This might tell us something. Okay. Yeah, that gives us a real good indication. I think that looks pretty good. It also lets me know that I want to move this back just a hair. We can get like the above view and make sure it's, yeah, right about there. Let's get that front view again. Okay, I think we're aligned pretty well here. Feeling good about this. So let's back off. Let's take this thing. We're gonna Control D. We're gonna flip it horizontal, and then grab the wrong one. That's the one. We're just gonna bring it on over, get our front view, and let's try to get them both lined up. Actually, that's pretty even already. Yeah, I think that's about what we want. All right, I'm happy with that as our sort of base. This is already kind of looking pretty good. Like I'm honestly kind of surprised. Am I raiding Johnny again tonight? That's the plan. Yeah, gonna send a raid into Johnny when we're done here, since he's streaming again. Um, yeah. All right. So we got our mounts. Now I need to sort of this entire piece. I think we're gonna have to replace with a different shape or a series of shapes, or possibly like remove some parts out of it. But at the very least, I know I'm going to want to kind of give it one of those. We kind of want to do that a little bit. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like how that's shortened in there. Maybe it's okay. Maybe that'll be all right. Yeah, I actually think that's going to be fine. Um, all right, so I do need to give my through holes for the axles to sit in. And this is sort of the magic of getting this whole thing to roll correctly. Um, So I get my little negative here. We're going to flip it 90, make it nice and wide. Holding the shift, we're going to get it kind of roughly where we want it in terms of size. And now we'll bring it up. And I know I'm going to want it to be a little bit bigger than that. So let's go ahead and we'll bring it back down to like right about there. And then holding that shift key, I'm going to bring it up to about there. All right. Let's get this. This is sort of the view that I want for this. We want to be just inside of those spacers that we made. Holding that shift key, I'm going to bring it back. And that should, if I zoom way in, that's going to give us our through line for the entire axle to be in there cleanly. So real quick, I'm going to take that and I'm going to take this. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to make a copy of that because we got to put one on the back axle too. So Control D. We're going to back it way up here. And now it gets tricky because seeing around these tires is not always easy. Bring it on up. Nope. Move that forward. And I'm actually going to shrink the whole thing down just a little. Stretch it back out here. Bring this one on out. All right, and I think that's pretty good. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to take that, and then I'm going to come back up here and get this one. And we're going to group that whole mess together. And you see immediately what it did. Now my axles are just sitting inside of the chassis. That's the magic of my design. That's the thing I'm most proud of that I've designed in these is the ability to do that because that's going to print in there cleanly. Ah, that's such a good feeling when that works. All right. And with these tires, I am going to ungroup them a few times because I'm going to add some detail. I put these covers on back when, um, and I'm going to lose that. Let's see. Yeah, those got to move in. Yeah, those all got to go. Missed one. There's always one that you miss. There we go. And now those all got to move in if they're going to have their little marks. And that makes them kind of look like the old school supercharger tires. Do the same thing on this side. Delete that. And then I'm going to take that one, that one, that one, that one, and that one. We're just going to push them back until they make their mark. Good. Feel okay with that. Now this interior, I kind of want this axle piece to be a bit beefier because I found that it's a little bit more trustworthy to not snap on the toy if I make it a bit bigger. All right, let's get a top view on that, make sure it's still centered. Sometimes it'll move around on you, and it absolutely did. Okay, that looks pretty okay to me. You can see I have some crooked pieces here. That's all artifacts from previous designs because I kept this piece here. All right, I feel okay with all of that. So we're going to go ahead and select that, then deselect that and deselect that. And we're going to group all of that back together to make our rear axle. This actually isn't going that bad. The center body piece is going to take some redesigning. Um, that's not so bad either. Yeah, this rear piece is going to take a second to solidify for us, which is fine. I'm excited to try to print this and actually see what it does because I've literally no clue how this would turn out because I've not done a design like this before. I'm hopeful, but you never know. And I was debating giving it like an interior and everything, but since this already has like an engine and looks pretty cool, and the window is so little you can't really see inside. I kind of think I might skip that part and not worry about it. There is the center beam, and I should probably put a hole in this chassis just in case. Um, but this chassis needs to change anyway, and I think I know Ow, because this whole thing has to kind of come forward like this. And if that's the case, I need to take this front down or else the front is going to be held up too high. So just going to come in here, give myself a nice long rectangle to work with. We're just going to find sort of the angle that I want this to come down at. I think it needs to be a bit more like there. Yeah, and I think if we do something like that, maybe even yeah, something a bit closer to like that. I think that's kind of what we're looking for here. I'm going to squeeze it in just in case. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty good. Rear wheels, it can sink down in there. That's also going to give some room for the centerpiece there. I may end up having to cut this little peg down, and I'm not going to worry too much about that. I think if we can make that back into something a bit fancier, I think we're really on to something here. So for right now, I'm also going to group this front axle, all these parts here, because I do want that to be one piece. Go ahead and group that. Just take a sec. Bring this over. Hey, hey, C. Brooks, welcome. Doing a little toy design here, making us a little pulling tractor that's 3D printable. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to ungroup that because I want to make that a bit cleaner. Yeah, I have an idea for this. Let's zoom in. I need this to come a bit closer to that body so that we don't get a ton of wobble in that front axle. We don't want that coming back and forth too much. That's going to be the spacer that we need. That's going to give us very little wobble, and that's important. I can tell you from experience that's going to be important when this actually needs to roll. Robotic, I agree. We'll get together soon for sure. All right, we'll go ahead and we'll group that. I'm even going to say let's go ahead and make that all one color. Also going to at the same time make this one color. Kind of give it that tire feel. There we go. Looking good. That'll take, yeah, there it goes. Yeah, I'm starting to see a some pull tractor look going on here. Feeling pretty okay with that. Now we got to do something with the back of this. And like I was sort of mentioning earlier, on the bottom of this, you can see they do this cool design where there's like you can sort of see where like the drive shaft and everything might be. It really is a lot of detail on a toy that these were not terribly popular toys because the tractor pull for little kids was not nearly as important an event as the monster truck. So the monster truck toys sold like crazy, but these pull tractors were not nearly as popular. I'm fortunate I've been able to finagle a complete set of them. This one that you see is kind of beat up. This was actually gifted to me by a fan this past weekend. So it's part of my small stack of extras for that collection. But yeah, I think we can do something. We can do something for the back of this thing. Something that sort of maybe resembles something cooler than how it looks now anyway. All right, let's come in here with one of these the blank space cube. Whoa, hey, hey, hey. All right. We're going to come right to the back here. We'll make it shorter for sure. I think maybe to like here-ish might be good. And let's scoop it on in a bit. We want to go maybe to like here. I don't know, something like that. I'm just this is where I'm just getting a little wacky, getting a little artistic. This is where I kind of want to see like, can I make this look cool? And it might even be kind of futile because how this prints could be a little bit of a mess. That's something that I'm trying to figure out as well. Like I'm trying to keep in mind how the printing process works on an FDM printer because to get those rolling axles in there, I have to print on my filament printer. I can't do it on the resin printer. So it's a little complicated that way. But I think if we keep this low, we can actually stretch this a bit further. Yeah, we could do more than that. We can probably bring it to like here or so. I'm going to radius this as well so that we get a little, it's a little more of an interesting shape on the bottom. Let's go ahead and I'm actually going to group both of those now just so that we get like a better image. Yeah, you see now we got that scoop out the bottom there. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. And now we can kind of add in something, something that looks a little bit more like a drive shaft, something that looks a little bit more like maybe the bottom of an axle. There's a lot of creative things you can do here, but again, with the printing process, it's possible you won't even see any of this. So right now I'm literally just trying stuff to see what it does, to see what what can I make it look like? Can I make it look cool? Or is it just going to be doomed to be like a functional body for this to sit on top of? All right, so if I'm designing the bottom of that, I'm thinking a little drive shaft piece that comes back and an axle. So for the axle, I'm going to want, yeah, this is the piece we're going to have to work with. This is what we want. All right, let's flip that 90 degrees. Let's get our from below view here. Bottom. And we're going to go just before and just after the axle, roughly centered with it. Yeah, that's pretty good. And then we're going to bring it to like there. Let's get back to the bottom here. Let's zoom way in on it. And I'm going to pull this in until it reaches, like we'll call it like there. It's got to be pretty close to the edge. Do the same thing on this end, just really close to the edge. Doesn't have to be exact. Yeah, okay, that's looking like sort of the base of the axle there. And now I just want to make sure how high up does the top of this go? Let's bring it down a little because I don't want it to interfere with what we have going on up here because it will. All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and make a copy of that. We're going to flip it 90 degrees. We're going to drag it on down here, stretch it much longer. Let's get that straight bottom view. And we're going to bring it in and make this a bit thinner. Something like that. Yeah, and that's getting to be a bit of a drive shaft going back. And I don't need to make it really complicated. It's a small detail that really only I'm aware of. Like no one else is looking for this, but I want it to look cool, you know? I mean, we could make it a little more pronounced than that. In fact, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take both of those and we're going to pull them up a little and then bring them down a little. Let's get a good view here. Let's see, we can go right about there. I think that looks pretty good because we still have plenty of clearance down here. But now we have this sort of drive shaft meets the back piece. You get a little bit of a view of it from the sides. It doesn't have to be too fancy. I'm just trying to add some little points of interest on this, really, is all I'm really trying to do here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. As for the back, I do still want to figure out how I'm gonna attach the pull sled that comes with these. Now, I think I have an idea, but I would need the pull sled with me, and they're all downstairs somewhere. I'm not gonna run off midstream. Um, all right. What I'm gonna say is this maybe is a little bit too far down. I want to maybe bring that up just a little in case. Um, I think it's time that we finally group everything and see what we're really working with here. So let's take all three of these hollow shapes and the actual body. We're going to group it. And that, while not looking like much necessarily, I think is going to be the basis of our little body. And on that, we're gonna have this. I'll turn it around so it's facing the right way on camera. We're gonna have this sitting atop that. Those big wheels on the back, the little wheels on the front, and that's gonna, I think, look pretty cool with this. So thank you, Bobby, and thank you, Austin. I appreciate it. I think for right now, because I don't have the pulling sled up here to make a connection point on the back of this, it would go right about there where I'm pointing here. Um, and you can see it on my little model here. There's this little slot that's a little connection point for the pull sleds they had for these. I'm gonna have to design that off camera um, before I print this to see if it'll work. But I think that's gonna be that for the tractor design. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rename this Superchargers Tractor Car. And I think we're going to call that pretty good on that one design. I do have a little bit more time here, so I'm going to set these pieces aside.